People usually think the blessed life looks like winning. Comfort, status, getting what you want. I want to start somewhere else entirely. The people who are blessed, who are genuinely well off in the deepest sense, are the ones who know they're spiritually empty and admit it. Not the confident, the humble. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The ones who are grieving right now, they will be comforted. The gentle, the ones who don't push their way to the front, they will inherit the earth, not the ones who grabbed it. The ones who are starving for what's right, who actually hunger for justice instead of just talking about it, they will be filled. The merciful will receive mercy. The pure in heart will see God clearly. The peacemakers, not the people who win arguments, the people who make peace, will be recognized as children of God. And if people insult you, persecute you, say cruel things about you because of how you're trying to live, that's not a sign you're failing. Be glad. That kind of treatment puts you in good company. It's exactly what happened to everyone who tried to live truthfully before you. You've been taught, don't kill. That's the law. I'm telling you the problem starts much earlier than the act. If you're carrying contempt for someone, calling them worthless in your heart, you're already standing where the danger begins. The law deals with what's visible. I'm asking you to deal with the root. You've heard, don't commit adultery. I'm telling you that looking at someone with the intention of using them in your imagination, that's the same act, just not yet carried out. This isn't about shame. It's about being honest that the real battlefield is internal, not just behavioral. And here's the one people resist the most. You've heard, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Fair exchange, fair punishment. I'm telling you, don't repay evil with evil. If someone strikes you, don't retaliate. If someone takes your coat, offer your cloak too. Love your enemies. Pray for the people who hurt you. Anyone can be kind to people who are kind to them. Even people who care about nothing else manage that. The real test is whether you can extend goodness to someone who has given you no reason to. When you help someone, don't make an announcement out of it. Some people give generously, but make sure everyone's watching. That applause is the only payment they're actually after, and they get exactly what they were looking for, nothing more. When you give, do it so quietly that it's almost a secret even from yourself. Same with prayer. Don't pray to be admired for praying. Go somewhere private, close the door, and talk to God plainly. He already knows what you need before you ask. You don't need elaborate words repeated for effect. Simple and honest is enough. Ask for what you need today. Ask to be forgiven the way you're willing to forgive others. Ask for the strength to avoid what would destroy you. Don't spend your life accumulating things that rust, that get stolen, that rot. Build something that lasts instead. And here's the deeper truth underneath all of this. Wherever you put your treasure, that's where your heart will follow, not the other way around. You can't truly serve two masters. You can't love money and live for what actually matters at the same time. Eventually you'll favor one and resent the other. Stop judging others so quickly, because the standard you use on them will be used on you. Here's a picture worth sitting with. You notice a tiny splinter in someone else's eye while completely missing the enormous beam lodged in your own. Deal with your own blindness first. Then you'll actually see clearly enough to help anyone else. If you want a single rule to live by, here it is. Treat people the way you would want to be treated. That's the whole of everything I've been teaching you, compressed into one sentence. Ask and you'll receive. Knock and the door opens. A father doesn't hand his hungry child a stone when he asks for bread. There are two ways to live. One is wide and easy, and most people take it without thinking, and it leads nowhere good. The other is narrow, harder to find, and fewer people choose it. Whoever hears what I'm telling you and actually does it is like someone who builds their house on solid rock. Rain comes, floods rise, wind hits it, and it stands. Whoever hears this and does nothing with it is building on sand. The storm comes for everyone eventually. Only one foundation holds. A man asked me once, "What's the greatest commandment of all?" I told him, "Love God completely, heart, soul, mind, strength. And the second is just as important. Love your neighbor as you love yourself." Everything else hangs on those two. He pushed back, "But who exactly is my neighbor?" So I told him about a man beaten and left for dead on the road. A priest walked past him. A religious official walked past him, too. It was a stranger from a group everyone looked down on who stopped, bandaged his wounds, paid for his care. I asked, which of these three actually was a neighbor to him? Go and do the same. And I told another story. A son who took his inheritance early, wasted it completely, and came home expecting to be punished, rehearsing his apology the whole way. His father saw him from a distance and ran to him, didn't wait for the apology, just embraced him. Because, he said, this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost, and now he's found. That is what forgiveness actually looks like. Not earned, given. People keep looking for the kingdom of God somewhere out there, in a place, in an event, in something that will arrive someday with visible signs. I'm telling you, stop looking outward for it. The kingdom of God is already within you. It was never a location. It's a way of living you carry, starting now, today, in how you treat the next person you meet.